I love that combination of the accident or the things I can't control and the things I can control.
I kind of think of printmaking as a trace. There's fragments and pieces all dissolving into the landscape.
From April 12th through May 11th, Bruno David Gallery will be featuring the work of 3 artists, Judy, Terry Conrad, and Thomas Sleet. Thomas Sleet's sculpture, Volcanoa, is a mixed media piece which will be up on view constantly on the window on Forsyth. There are themes that include environmental importance and the legacy of what we create, the role of what is meant to be obvious on the part of the artist and what is meant to be almost unseen or maybe nuanced, the use of movement as well as control versus what could be made in a haphazard manner, and the role of time, its meaning both symbolically and physically on the work itself.
I've always loved the materiality and texture of paint. So I wanted to develop a technique where I could actually bring something out. I could experience the paint, move the paint around on the canvas instead of painting something that you looked into space. I would actually develop the space. It would come out. There would be depth to it. The title of this show is called The Inner Mappings. I've developed this technique of laying the canvas flat and pouring multiple layers of paint on the canvas. And what I do is I let gravity dictate how the paint is going to flow. And I respond to that in kind as I move the canvas around. It's like a choreography. This is what I think of mappings. I think of the mappings of my body movement as I'm pouring the paint. I don't have any control of where the cracks are going to form. And so for me, the next day when I go in and see where they developed is a big surprise every single time.
The title of the exhibit is Biomarkers, and the word biomarker is really interesting to me. An organism being able to hold a history of things that we've left in the landscape. I started working with found objects a while ago because it just seemed like there was this abundance of stuff. So I build these tools out of found objects. It's essentially a time-based printing press. All the inks are actually made from found materials as well, so it's a lot of oxidized metals, dirts, old projects, kind of distilling and making ink, collecting walnuts to make ink. It starts with soaking the paper and then putting the matrix in place and then building this whole scaffolding. And then I feed these tubes through the scaffolding. It's like this plumbing system and this architectural object. And so these tubes have all these clogs and things like that. And so there's a direct sort of oxidation happening that hits the paper and the tone happens. There's also these tubes are clogged, so there's a slow drip. And sometimes I feed ink in and it goes right down to the paper. So what is at the bottom here is essentially an open bottom vessel that I built out of found cans. I play with them, I cut them and bend them, and then I build these larger forms. For this to dry or print, it takes 3-4 days.